Welcome back to another flashlight review, and today we're checking out my first Trustfire flashlight. This is the Trustfire T30R, and it's a long-range tactical LEP laser excited phosphor flashlight, and it claims 1.1 kilometer of throw, 460 lumens. LEP flashlights have an extremely long distance beam, and I'll demonstrate that later on. But overall, I am really surprised with this flashlight. I was seriously blown away by the quality, performance, and price tag. And as you'll see later in the tests, I measured over 1.3 kilometers of range. And it looks like Trustfire has also fixed that strange step-down behavior in the earlier model of this flashlight. So more on that later. Basically, it's a simple interface. You click that tail switch at the back. It's a tactical tail switch. Forward clicky, and this button here on the side allows you to alternate between 3 different modes. If you press and hold, there is a strobe mode in there as well, and you can see down the head of the light the aspheric lens and the laser excited phosphor module. It's even got USB-C charging. So let's take a look at what you get in the box. Now, Trustfire include an 18650 battery. Just bring it up a little bit closer. It's a 3000 milliamp hour cell. Not sure what type of cell this is. It does look very similar. I compared it to my Samsung 30Q. It does have that same button design on the top plus that white sheath. So maybe they've just rewrapped it. You get some other little accessories as well. So a lanyard, cleaning cloth, and a little microfiber bag. It says Trustfire on it, and some other accessories, an O-ring, a little key ring there, which I don't think I'll use, a USB-C charging cable. We see you get a manual, basic manual as well, and this is the actual box that it comes in. If you want to pause the video, have a look at some of the specifications. They don't really write too much on it. Maybe here on the side there's a bit, some more details here. Okay, so here's a little side-by-side comparison of the Trustfire T30R next to a few other flashlights that I own. And I've got my Nextorch T10L, which is another LEP laser-excited phosphor flashlight. And the T10L is just a little bit longer, but as you can see, the bezel size is significantly larger. And I think this is an important thing to mention because the T30R actually performs pretty much the same as the T10L in terms of range, so 1.3 kilometers of range. I've got my Convoy M21B here to the left, which is a bit shorter, and of course it's got a larger bezel diameter as well, and a few other lights, Convoy S8, S2+. So it is a little bit longer than your usual 18650 flashlight, but that's due to this aspheric lens in there, that setup. You've also got a couple of other lights here, smaller lights. That's my Vast Light Bow and Pokelit AA. All right, so here's a little close-up of the Trustfire T30R, and the build quality is absolutely fantastic, especially at this price point. And it's surprisingly close to Phoenix, Ace Beam, Nightcore sort of standards. And that really surprised me. I mean, you've got the comparison as well. If you compare it to some budget flashlights out there, I won't name any brands, but yeah, the machining and the anodizing is a noticeable step up. I really wonder if this light was made in the same factory as some of those flashlights like Phoenix, what have you. And yeah, it's got this matte black anodizing, still slightly slippery, but there is some good knurling on there. But overall, it looks and feels very durable, clean. Even the machining, there's no nicks or inconsistencies, rough spots, that sort of thing. And the light measures 157 millimeters long. It's got a 30 millimeter head. So that's perfect for something that you can carry along in your jeans pocket. I think getting up to 35 millimeters, you really start to notice that in your pocket and it becomes more uncomfortable. So the T30R would definitely make a perfect EDC thrower. And it's also IP68, water and dust resistant. It's been 1 meter drop tested. You also get a 3-year warranty on the light. So the Trustfire T30R is controlled via 2 switches. You've got this switch on the back. Now that switch has to be activated in order for this side switch to work. Okay, so, and it's very simple interface, you know, low, medium, high, like that. And I like that they've used a metal switch here. There's a nice retaining ring around there as well, kind of like a blue ring. It also functions as a battery indicator, as you can see here. It glows green, and when you're charging it as well, it does function as a charging indicator. The light will not tail stand, so that rear switch protrudes. We've got also a USB-C charging port here, the rubber gasket, and the head and the tail of this flashlight can be unscrewed in order to access the battery. And I tested this light with a flat cell 18650, works completely fine. There's springs as well on both the head and the tail. So if you are attaching this flashlight to a mount, there's not going to be any issues with recoil. Now, the clip actually came attached right here in the center of the flashlight, which I found a bit awkward because, yeah, basically the clip just leaves half of the flashlight sticking out of your pocket. But what I've done is that I've just removed the clip, shifted it onto the tail cap, and it attaches pretty firmly just due to that knurling there. So works fine. Quick look down the bezel again. It's very difficult to see what's in there on the camera, but there is an aspheric lens, and you've got the LEP, laser excited phosphor module in there, and it's a shine through module. You've got protective glass over the lens as well. And Trustfire say that they include a 3-layer coated lens in order to eliminate the harm of monochromatic lasers. Now, I haven't seen any other LEP lights mention this sort of coating before. And yeah, theoretically, it shouldn't be required as the module converts the laser into white light. And yeah, you can see also the head is nearly the same length as the body. It finishes off just about here due to the internal lens design. So I did touch on the UI before, but I'll go through it in a bit more detail. So you've got that forward switch on the back. So if you half press, you get momentary mode. The light just turns on until you release the switch. Full press, the light turns on to memory mode. Now, you've got those 3 modes in here, so low, medium, high. So if you want to leave it on that high mode, turn it off and half press, it actually memorizes that high mode. There's no chance of it going into any other mode. And of course, if you press and hold, you get a hidden strobe mode in there. That's something I don't really use myself, but I'm glad that Trustfire have separated that out from all the other modes in there. Sometimes you get manufacturers that just put them after the 3 modes and you have to go through it, which is pretty annoying. There's no parasitic drain on the battery due to the mechanical switch. And also there's no proper lockout mode on the light as well. But with these tactical lights, if you've got the switch sticking out of your pocket, you've clipped it in, it's very unlikely that you're going to activate that switch. So I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests, and before I actually got this flashlight, I had a look online at some previous reviews. And you can see actually with a lot of previous reviews, there's this kind of step down pattern. It goes up and down very strangely at the beginning. So as soon as you turn on the light, it just steps all the way down very quickly, goes up, down, but definitely doesn't go down in a very linear fashion. But in this 2025 model, the issue seems to be resolved. And yeah, it steps down in a linear fashion, meaning that you get much longer run times on the highest mode. And I also found that the beam color is pure white rather than that greenish tint that was noted in previous reviews. So here's the first ceiling bounce test that I ran with the Trustfire T30R on high, and you can see it starts off at 100% and you just get this linear downward trajectory. At about 4 minutes, it stops at about 40% output, and you can see you get about a minute of runtime where that light is between 90 and 100%, which is a huge improvement over the previous model. And you can see at the 10-minute mark, I've reactivated the high mode again, and that same step down pattern, same thing at the 15-minute mark and a little bit after as well. I'm not sure if there's a timer in there, but when I was holding on to the flashlight, when I was reactivating these high modes, it didn't feel overly hot. It was definitely getting hot by that 4th reactivation, but maybe it's just a little bit cold at the moment where I'm at in Melbourne. Here's another ceiling bounce test where I just measured the first 5 minutes, and you can see there that same sort of step down pattern. So you get about a minute of runtime, like I said before, a 90 to 100%. I also ran a third ceiling bounce test here on the low mode, and you can see the light maintains between 95 to 100% output for the duration of the test. Alrighty, so here comes the exciting part, a measurement with my Opal Lightmaster Pro. So on the high mode, you can see here I measured 1,348 meters of range. I mean, that is pretty incredible considering the small bezel size of this flashlight, something that you can fit in your pocket. And on the low mode, I measured 704 meters. CRI was lower, so between 52 and 58, and CCT was between 5,400 and 5,900. Like I mentioned before, my version didn't have that green tint that's noted in some previous reviews. It just looks like pure white to me. Okay, so some considerations if you're thinking about getting the Trustfire T30R. And design-wise, this light was pretty difficult to fault. However, I think it's a touch longer than I would like. I mean, it still fits nicely into my jeans pocket, which is what matters. I guess the longer head is required to achieve that 1.3 kilometer range, especially with that 30 millimeter bezel size. Maybe they've had to put the module a little bit further back into the head to focus it. It's pretty much the same length as my Nextorch T10L LEP flashlight, but achieves similar range. I do also wish that the threads were anodized just so that I can, could mechanically lock out the flashlight, mainly this one here. On the back, it's not a deal breaker, but yeah, it does also help with the overall durability. Thankfully, you do have that onboard charging, so you might not have to remove the battery as much. And like I mentioned before, the clip does come attached on a strange position here. Hope that in the next model, Trustfire allow the option to maybe invert the battery tube. I can't just switch it over. The actual head component head threads are a little bit larger, a bit wider in diameter than the ones on the tail. But yeah, being able to attach it here in the back is fine. You can probably just attach it underneath here as well, under the tail cap, so that when you remove the tail cap, the clip doesn't come off at the same time. The second consideration is that there's no spill and only 460 lumens. Now, laser excited phosphor flashlights have a very tight hotspot, meaning there's no floodlight. So yeah, if you need a floodier sort of light, make sure you carry a backup light. And yeah, keep in mind this light is, purely designed for long distance use. Final consideration is that although this is one of the lowest priced LEP flashlights out there, if not the lowest priced LEP flashlight, this still costs more than your usual entry-level budget flashlight out there, just due to the LEP module, which are still relatively pricey compared to LED technology. But keep in mind that there are no LEDs out there that can produce a 1.3 kilometer beam in a flashlight of this size. Overall, the Trustfire T30R is hands down the best value LEP flashlight available on the market, and the quality is on par with more expensive brands like Phoenix, and it costs pretty much the same as some mid-range LED flashlights out there. So, having a pocketable light that produces 1.3 kilometers of throw was thought of as pretty much impossible just a few years ago. So, if you're on the fence about getting an LEP flashlight, pick one of these up ASAP. I think it's really worth the deal. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. I've also put a link in the description with a special discount voucher if you want to get one of these flashlights. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, click the like button, share it with someone who might be interested. It helps me to get it out to more people. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest flashlight news, make sure you subscribe. So there's a little bit of light still around, and I've got the Trustfire T30R, and we're going to test it down this golf course, and let's see how we go. And you can see out the back there's like you can see that little flag there, There's a sign here as well. You can see there's actually a guy walking across to the right here with his dog. I'm trying not to bother them, but look at that. You can really see the edges of the trees here, and
all the way out in the back. You can see the trunks like pretty easily. These tree trunks are there, and of course everything out the front is pretty easy to spot, like this obviously this tree. It's a really like pencil thin sort of beam. Absolutely amazing amount of throw with this light. Okay, that guy with his dog's gone. I didn't want to bother them, but you can see that tree all the way in the distance there, that little tree. Seems like objects that are light up here much more easier. Oh, there's the dog. He's come around the side. Was it kind of getting distracted, I think, by the light. And we'll go through the other modes as well. So there is a low mode here, or the moonlight mode, and then you've got the medium mode, which still manages to hit those trees in the back very easily, and of course that high mode. Incredible. It looks like it's a sort of, if you look at that, it looks like a lightsaber or something in the sky. They probably must be wondering, what the heck am I doing out here, or what is this thing? And I just want to compare it to my Vastlight bow LEP. So that's the Trustfire T30R to the left, and on the right my Vastlight bow. And you can see with that smaller lens, it casts creates a larger hotspot. Okay, but the brightness of the hotspot of the T30R is significantly more, as you can see, significantly brighter. So you're going to get some extra range there. Smaller hotspot though, but I mean, pretty incredible. You can actually just see the beam through the through the air. Both of the beams. It's quite something. Alright, so I've got my Convoy T6. I'm going to compare it to the Trustfire T30R. Okay, and you can see, you know, that's the Trustfire T30R, and the Convoy T6, which has a much larger hotspot, lots of spill. Okay, but you just don't get that level of throw as you do with the LEP. I mean, it's virtually no spill. It's just bizarre. But yeah, never ceases to amaze me. Trustfire T30R, and see, I'm just pointing it all the way towards the back here. It looks like there's someone's dog running around out the back. There's someone out there. Try not to shine it onto them, but look at that. Again, it's a very, very small hotspot, but wherever you point this thing, you can see pretty clearly. The dog's still looking this way. All those trees, it's just super bright from the edges of those trees. Be great maybe with like a filter of some sort, a colored filter, to spot animals. Go through the other modes as well. That's moonlight, low, which still manages to reach out the back. Gonna need some binoculars to see what's out there. And the high mode. Trustfire T30R, and you can see just across there, it's about a few hundred meters. It looks like a jetty or something. You can actually see people walking, like the feet, where there's a bit of material on their, what do you call it, reflective material on their shoes and stuff like that. Those trees all the way in the back, they're kind of reflecting back a bit of light. You can see also here, you're able to pick out bits and pieces of things in the water. It's a bird. In fact, it's kind of... You can see all the way like into the water. Pretty incredible. Is that a little something there as well floating around? And if you actually shine it closer to the water near the back, it actually reflects off the water and hits the trees. It's difficult to see there on camera, but reactivate again. Pretty incredible range.